Hey guys, it's Darwin. So lately I have been noticing a lot of hikers switching from a headlamp to a flashlight. So today we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of each and why I made the switch. So if you've seen any of my gear list over the past 2 years, you'll know that I usually use the black diamond spot. It's a great headlamp. It only weighs in at 3.2 ounces and it's tried and true. Got a couple different brightness settings. It has a red light. This has been my go-to headlamp for the past 2 years on every trail that I've done. But in preparation for the PCT and my section hike of the Arizona Trail, I've just been wanting to try something different. And not only try something different, but also lighten my load just a little bit. Now, it's only 3.2 ounces, but there are lighter headlamps out on the market. So I figured I'd start doing my research and seeing what was out there. So first, I started looking at certain rechargeable headlamps because I figured having a rechargeable headlamp would be great. I wouldn't have to buy batteries. I could just charge it with my little battery pack. And while looking at them, I discovered they're super expensive. They're not really any lighter than my spot. And every review that I've ever seen of them, people say that eventually they give out and the battery dies on them. So after looking at them, I kind of threw that to the side and I decided rechargeable headlamp is not for me. So next I started looking at some ultra light headlamps. And the one I picked up in particular was the Petzl E+Lite. It weighed under an ounce. It was tiny. It would just slide into my pocket. It had multiple settings. It had a red light. They just upgraded it to 50 lumens from the old 26. I figured that sounds like the perfect light for me, so I picked one up and decided to start doing some testing with it. It wasn't too bad at first, but after 2 night hikes with it, I decided that I absolutely hated it. The thing is awful if you're going to be doing any type of hiking. Now, if you just want a headlamp for camp, it is a great light, don't get me wrong. But if you plan on doing any type of night hiking, which I do next year on the PCT, especially in that first 700 miles of the desert, I needed more light. So I returned that thing as soon as I possibly could, and then I was kind of back at square one and didn't know what to do. I thought, you know what, I'll just stick with my black diamond spot. It's done me good this far. Screw it, I'm done with it. And then talking to another piece of hiker trash at an outfitter, he suggested, why don't I try a flashlight? Now, for years, I've seen a little flashlight in a lot of hikers' kits over a headlamp, but I always kind of thought that was weird. Why would I ever want to carry a flashlight? A headlamp just seems so convenient. So I figured I might as well take his advice, and I picked up this guy, which is the Phoenix E05. It only cost me $25. It's 85 lumens. It has 3 different settings. It's tiny, and with the battery and this little clip that I added, it only weighs 0.9 ounces. So it's under an ounce for this little guy. Again, I kind of picked it up on a whim, just thinking, you know what, I'll try it, I'll test it, I'll see what's going on with the whole flashlight thing. And to my surprise, I love this thing. So the reason I love it is because when I added this little clip that I just had sitting around from an older flashlight that I have, I always hike with a hat. I hike with a hat during the day, I hike with a hat at night. I am constantly wearing a hat on the trail and off the trail. So the great thing about this is it clips right onto my hat. Now, one of the problems that I've always had with a headlamp is when I'm wearing a headlamp with a hat, I always have to angle it in certain positions, and when I'm hiking at night, a lot of the times my brim will actually cast a shadow and kill some of the light right in front of me. So by eliminating that and putting the light right on my bill, I'm able to get a much better path of light to hike at night. Now, the other great thing about the E05 is it has 3 different settings. So I have a super bright 85 lume settings that honestly doesn't sound like much at first. But when I took it out on the trail and hiked with it, I actually thought that this lit up the trail way better than my black diamond spot ever did. And then it has a lower setting at 25 looms if I'm just messing around at camp. And then if I'm in my tent at night and I'm reading or just looking at a map or something, it has a setting of an 8 lume. And even at 25 and 8, this thing is super bright. The other thing that I really dig about having a little flashlight like this is it only takes 1 AAA battery, which means that if I'm out on an extended period on the trail, I don't have to carry 3 AAAs and have this extra weight and this extra stuff to worry about. I only need to carry like 2 extra ones and I'll have plenty of power for this light. So those are all the positives that I feel about this, but what are some of the negatives about carrying a flashlight? Well, number one, it doesn't have a red light. And in the past, you've heard me say I love the red light on a headlamp because if I'm in my tent at night and I'm reading, the red light is much better for that. If I'm out on a trail like the Appalachian Trail and I'm coming into a shelter late, I can turn on my red light and not disturb anybody. And the red light doesn't take as much power. So that is one downfall of the flashlight. It has no red light setting. The other downfall is if I'm not wearing a hat, say I'm in my tent and I'm wearing just my buff, or I'm wearing a sock hat, I can't attach it to my head because I have no bill to put it on. But aside from those two things, that's the only downfall that I found in switching from a headlamp to a mini flashlight. The biggest thing, especially if we're talking about hiking at night, is when I'm hiking at night, I don't tend to use my trekking poles. I usually just hold them in one hand or I put them in my pack so I can take this off my bill and I can hold it in my hand and point it and put it down lower onto the trail, which illuminates the trail a lot better and makes my hike a lot safer because I can see the terrain. So for now, I am definitely a flashlight person over a headlamp person, so I am done with this guy for now, and I really dig having this little guy in my pack. So, are you a headlamp person or a flashlight person? Have you thought about making the switch and trying something different? Leave it in the comment box below and let me know your thoughts. If you haven't had a chance yet, go over and check me out on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of new photos lately of some of the things that Snuggles and I have going on throughout the week, plus some pictures from some past hikes, plus a ton of pictures from the Arizona Trail because I am hiking it every single day, and this Saturday I'll be hitting the trail for a 10-day section. If you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always guys, thanks for watching.